Alright, hey guys. So I just wanted to tell you guys a story tonight because it's an interesting story, but I also want you to understand like the difference between them and me. So for a while, I was that person who was like, socialism, socialism, yay, socialism. And then I realized that all the poor people and the immigrants coming behind me hate black people, so I was like, fuck socialism, I'm not with them. And now the confusing part is every time I go into spaces, people are out here thinking that like I am them and they are us and there's some affiliation. And I just want to make a clarifying point to like what the other side looks like. This is like the Quincy, the Marseille Martins, they are all a part of like this particular group. And I've been trying to tell y'all, like I have family members who are a part of that group, but that's not me. Like I am the person who literally has been out here working. Like I told you guys, when I was living with my mom, they had 7 cars at that house and they wouldn't even give me a ride to school. I had to walk 5 fucking miles. They just laugh. They don't care about poor people. They don't care about middle class people. They don't care about opportunity, nothing. So this story actually came up for me because so Mark Andreessen with like A16, that's like, I can't explain how many of my ex-coworkers get money from this nigga, like it's everybody basically. But somebody in this community proposed, they were like, we want public housing in this community. He got so mad, he writes an entire letter. He was like, no, absolutely not. He was like, my property value will decrease. Everybody showed up to the meeting. So there's 2 of these camps. If you guys haven't been following this, there's the YIMBYs, this is yes in my backyard, and there's the NIMBYs. That's the not in my backyards. Now he is a member of the NIMBYs, so not in my backyard, which basically means that like they do not believe in it's kind of basically like if you think about what affordable housing is, the point is that like if you are poor, if your family is poor, especially if you're an immigrant, you can get access to like affordable housing and you can like start to grow so you can get public education and other shit. But when you don't have affordable housing in middle class neighborhoods or upper class neighborhoods, then you get access to shitty schools and your likelihood of like upward mobility, it drops to 0. Now I've been watching this shit happen for a very long time because I told you guys, like I grew up here, so this is like an upper middle class neighborhood. But don't get me wrong, because like all the other people of color and fresh off the boats, they're right there in Oakland, and you see that drama happening every day. All type of broke Asians, all type of Yemenis people, they don't have a dollar to their name. They need public housing. That's the only reason they're able to do anything. Like if there was no public housing, there would be no like Indian doctors here. There would like we have enough, like we there's not a need, okay, for the other side. Like we have enough people. The WASPs are more than able to go and become doctors. Also, the rich black people more than able. Amina and the gang have been yachting out, okay, in the Hamptons for a lot of years. Y'all just refuse to acknowledge black wealth, but they have a lot of it and they're not getting rid of it anytime soon. So all those like social programs and shit, that's not for this group. It's for the fresh off the boats. And I'm just saying, I want you to hear what they said, because like this is what they are saying. This is not me, I'm not saying this. I'm just reading the fucking article out loud, okay? So, here's what it says. The summer of NIMBY in Silicon Valley's poshest town. Moguls and investors from the tech industry, which endorses housing relief, endorse housing relief, banded together to object a plan for multi-family homes near their estates in Atherton, California. So let me put some more context behind this. The multi-family home, okay, so people like me, as you see guys, like I'm literally a single black female. When you're watching those shows like Insecure, or there's basically none, because like everyone on television refuses to acknowledge that we're out here, but we are like the Kelly Stamps of the internet. You see how Kelly Stamps has like no kids, no animal, no dependents, nothing. Every dollar that she makes just goes to stiletto heels, dresses, more dinners and flights, multiple apartments. That's what it is. There's a whole community of us. We've all found each other. Everyone else refuses to acknowledge that we exist. It's totally fun. The multifamily homes that are being built are not being built for us. The multifamily homes that are being built for the refugees from Afghanistan, okay? It's the Ukrainian bitches with 7 kids. It's not for us. I'm just saying. All right, so let's keep going. San Francisco, the tech industry titans have navigated a lot to get where they are today. The dot-com bust, the 2008 recession, a backlash against tech power, the pandemic. They have overcome boardroom showdowns and investor power struggles and regulatory landmines. But this summer, some of them encountered their most threatening opponent yet, multifamily townhouses. They don't want Quavo in the game making trap music in their communities. No bad and bougies in Atherton. Okay, so let's see. Where was I? Their battle took place in one of the Silicon Valley's most exclusive and wealthiest towns, Atherton, California, a 4.9 square mile enclave just north of Stanford University with a population of 7,500. Their tech chief executives and venture capitalists banded together over the specter that more than one home could exist in a single acre of land in the general vicinity of their estates. Their weapon, strongly worded letters. Rich white Karens love strongly worded letters. That's one thing I've learned over the years. A strongly worded letter is like a fucking knife or a gun or something. Like, these bitches will write letters all day. The student council board, they packed to the max. Okay. All right, let's see. Faced with the possibility of new construction, Rachel Whetstone, Netflix chief communication officer. Come on, bro. This bitch studies sociology for sure. The Karens be going far. I'm surprised. All right, anyway. She wrote a letter to the city council and mayor that she was very concerned about traffic, tree removal, light, and noise pollution in school resources. Come on, really? Tree removal, light, and noise pollution? I'm done. Okay, so another local, Anthony Noto, chief executive of the financial tech company SoFi, and his wife Kristen, wrote that robberies and larceny had already become so bad that many families, including his, had employed private security. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing larceny in Atherton. Get the fuck out of here. Come on, that's not a thing. Their neighbors, Bruce Dunleavy, a founding partner at the investment firm Benchmark, and his wife Elizabeth, said the developments were in conflict with Atherton's heritage tree ordinance, which regulates tree removal and would create a town that is no longer suburban in nature, but urban, which is not why its residents moved there. So they want to keep it suburban. They're saying the trees are more important than the families. So if you're broke and watching this, the tree is more important than your life to this community. Other residents also objected. Andrew Wilson, chief executive of the video game maker Electronic Arts, Nikesh Aurora, he's Indian for sure. He also cares nothing about your housing. Chief executive at the Palo Alto Networks, a cybersecurity company, Ron Johnson, he's black for sure. Ron Johnson, a former top executive at Apple, Omid Kordestani. Well, it's okay. Let me stop being racist. Whatever. A former top executive at Google, and Mark Andreessen, a prominent investor. All right, so all of them were fighting a plan to help Atherton comply with state requirements for housing. Really? Every 8 years, California cities must show state regulators that they have planned for new housing to meet the growth of their community. Atherton is on the hook to add 348 units. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I don't know what they're going to do then. That's a lot of units. 348 units. And the families are pretty large now. These moms be having like, the fresh off the boat moms be having like 10 kids. So like, Atherton's gonna get some immigrants for sure. Many California towns, particularly the ones with rich people, have fought higher density housing plans in recent years, a trend that has become known as NIMBYism for not in my backyard. But Atherton's situation stands out because of its extreme wealth of its denizens. The average home was 7.9 million. Damn. And because tech leaders who live there have championed housing causes. The companies that made Atherton's residents rich have donated huge sums to nonprofits to offset their impact on the local economy, including driving housing costs up. Some of the letter writers have even sat on the board charities aimed at addressing the region's poverty and housing problems. Now, I actually talked about this with Fab Socialism, but she kicked me off the channel because she said I was a capitalist. So here's the problem. Well, it's not the problem. I'm just saying maybe I should stop life hacking, but that's what I did. When I saw what the NIMBYs were doing, I just realized the thing I had going for me was like I was the only black person in the community. So if you just wear what the urban people wear, like if it's baby fat or if it's the gold earrings, the braids, like whatever it is, you just take the bus to the community and just wear the clothes. People will really think that you're a part of the community. And that's true. Like all these people from that community from Atherton, they start donating money, like hella money to like, we'll call them quote unquote non-profit programs, right? And then you can just apply to those programs because you know about them and nobody else does. Like I can't describe, that was a life hack that me and Allie basically came up with, and it has worked very well. And I think nobody, I don't know, poor kids are not figuring that out. Whatever. Atherton residents have raised objections to the development, even though the town's housing density is extremely low, housing advocates said. Atherton talks about multifamily housing as if it was a Martian invasion or something. Oh wow, said Jeremy Levine, a policy manager at the Housing Leadership Council of San Mateo County, a nonprofit that expressed support for the multifamily townhouse proposal. Atherton, which is a part of San Mateo County, has been long known for shying away from the development. The town previously sued the state to stop a high-speed rail line from running through it and voted to shutter a train station. Its zoning rules do not allow for multifamily homes. But in June, the city council proposed an overlay designating areas where 9 townhouse developments could be built. The majority of the sites would have 5 or 6 units, with the largest one having 40 on 5 acres. That was when the outcry began. Some objectors offered creative ways to comply with the state's requirements about building new housing. One technology executive suggested in his letter that Atherton try counting all the pool houses. That's fucked up. Imagine being at that school board meeting and hearing parents be like, count my pool, your pool, and his pool as housing. I'm sorry, like some of y'all should be madder. Like you're way too poor to not know this story. Like it's ridiculous. Like this is so fucked up. Like they are talking about counting pools as housing units. And y'all keep talking. I read a story about the Latino community that was, or it was like some Native American community that was living in a housing tent or some shit in Oakland. It was crazy. Like this woman gave birth in a toilet or some shit. And then it was ridiculous. I had never heard, and they tried to make it like a cultural rendition. it was like a horror story, but it was also like a true story. Like those are real people who wrote this shit. That really happened to some chick. I just told you guys about the bitch who's like vlogging and living in her car right in Ventura, like today. She made like 3 more videos today. Like, this is insane. I don't know. This is nuts. Others spoke directly about their home values. Mr. Andreessen, the venture capitalist, and his wife Laura, a scion of the real estate developer John Arigula, warned in a letter in June that more than one residence on a single acre of land will massively decrease our home values, the quality of life of ourselves and our neighbors, and immensely increase the noise, pollution, and traffic. That's true. So I've told you guys this story before, but this is my first year living in an apartment. But before this, I lived with my mom, and so we lived on, I think our lot was like 5 acres, and we had 2 properties on 1 acre. So it was like the whole corner block was ours. And so I gotta agree, like when you have too many units in one space, it reduces your quality of life. Like it's awful. Having neighbors is fucking worse. Like, this is what I'm saying. I hate living in this apartment building. I have to walk past other people like every day. In an ideal world, I would not do that. I'm sorry, but if I was him, I'd be saying that shit too. Like, I don't want any multifamily units, no apartments. If I'm paying more than $2 million for a fucking house, I don't want neighbors. I would be like fucking Sade and have 70 acres in like London town that this bitch comes out once every 10 years. Y'all never see her. She doesn't even have the internet in her house. No. Okay, wait. Others spoke directly about, we already read that part. And the quality of life, blah, blah, blah. The couple signed the letter with their address and an apparent reference to 4 properties they own. They're pulling that Dave Chappelle move where he was like, look, bro, if you don't let me have my apartment building, I'm taking my money elsewhere. I made another video about that. Dave Chappelle is too rich to be around you broke motherfuckers. He doesn't care about multifamily housing either. And you know what? He doesn't have to. Mark Andreessen doesn't give a shit about multifamily housing. Is something that socialists, I feel like, care about. It's not everybody. It's like a very small population of people. Why? Because like, why would that be an issue that you actually like support? Like, why would you want additional neighbors if you didn't have to have? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if it was like your friend moving next door or something, maybe you'd be like, oh, I welcome you here. But if it's like a stranger with like 17 kids and like $20,000 a year who's a janitor, I'm good. No, like it's a solid ass no for me. Absolutely not. Okay, so the Atlantic reported earlier on the Andreessen's letter. He's been a vocal proponent of building all kinds of things, including housing in the Bay Area. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. In a 2020 essay, he bemoaned the lack of housing in the United States, calling out San Francisco's crazily skyrocketing housing prices. Okay, I think so. He just invested in that guy he had like a failed company, and he just invested like $540 million in somebody else who's working on a quote unquote affordable housing. But this is like a failed white dude who tried to have a startup and he already lost like $500 million of his money. But I'm telling you that the white tech bros will invest in chocolate rain bunnies and like witchcraft and wizardry. I feel like somebody will build Hogwarts and this motherfucker will fund it. I'm gonna go, if it really happens, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna put money into like bubblegum machines, like at least fucking solve a real problem, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like 2 days ago that he posted the thing. He's like, I'm investing $540 million in accessible housing startup from some loser. His startup literally failed. He already lost $500 million of this motherfucker's money, and now he's like, it's okay, it's fine. You lost all my money, but I'm giving you more. here, white bro. Take more money and fail again. You can fail forever. You can fail this year, next year, tomorrow, every day, and I'll keep funding you. And that's how it goes. And we can all watch and just keep writing articles about it. This is the most incredible story ever. It is called The Degradation of America, guys. We're just watching it travel right down the drain. And all I'm saying is I have started a new series. We are unpacking skins. So we can unpack the European economy and what it's like, because I'm done. I'm sorry, I fully quit. This is insane. It's insane. Okay, so blah blah blah. We should have gleamed skyscrapers and spectacular living environments in all our best cities, he wrote. Where are they? Do you think they were gonna fall out of the sky? We have real what? Who was gonna build it? Who? The BART trains barely run, bro. How are we gonna get? I don't even understand. Whatever. Other venture capital investors who live in Atherton and oppose the townhouses include Aidan Secknut. Who the fuck is that? An investor with Felicious Ventures, Gary Swart. Oh God. An investor at Polaris Partners, Norm Fogelsong. An investor at IVP, Greg Stranger. An investor at Iconic, and oh my God, Tim Draper. Oh fuck, I totally know Tim. Don't say that. I don't know Tim. No, I don't. I do not know that person. Many of the largest tech companies have donated money toward addressing the Bay Area's housing crisis in recent years. Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook, where Mark Andreessen is a member of the board of directors, has committed $1 billion toward the problem. I didn't know that. Google has pledged $1 billion, Apple topped them both with $2.5 billion, and Netflix made grants to Enterprise Community Partners, a housing nonprofit. Mr. Aurora of Palo Alto Networks was on the board of Tipping Point. I know Tipping Point. Okay, so Tipping Point does a lot of good work in terms of writing about stuff that's happening. They do nothing in terms of solving the problem. Nobody's actually doing anything to solve the problem. People have made tent encampments, as in they for real live in tents. And people are starving. There was a story just yesterday where some biracial family that was living in Virginia, they starved their children to death. These were 2 high school sophomore girls. I don't even know how that happens. If you're over 16, how can you not walk your ass to the social services office and be I'm hungry? But I swear to God, that's the story. It's just, it is sad out here. It's sad. These were literal 16-year-olds with TikTok accounts. And they starved to death in their homes. The pictures are of these bitches' bodies being rolled out. That's the story. I'm I don't know what's going on. Everybody is not all the way there in the head. It's just not, I don't even. Mr. Sankun said he was upset because he felt that Atherton's townhouse proposal had been done in a sneaky way without the input from the community. What? He said the potential for increased traffic had made him concerned about the safety of his children. Has he not heard of boarding school? I don't understand. If you're going to have to do something, ask the neighborhood what they want, he said. Mr. Draper, Mr. Johnson, and representatives for Mr. Andreessen, Mr. Aurora, and Mr. Wilson of Electronic Arts declined to comment. Other letter writers did not respond to requests for comment. The volume of responses led Atherton City Council to remove the townhouse portion from its plan in July. On August 2nd, it instead proposed a program to encourage residents to rent out accessory dwelling units on their properties. What? To allow people to subdivide properties and potentially build housing for teachers. They don't care about teachers. What? Atherton is indeed different, the proposal declared. Despite their affluent nature, the plan said it's cash for with a few people who are at risk for housing. Rick DeGolia, Atherton's mayor, said the issue with the townhouses is that they would not have fit the state's definition of affordable housing. I don't look through. Wow. Since land in Atherton costs $8 million an acre, that's crazy. One developer told him the units could go for at least $4 million each. That's affordable housing, man. Everybody who buys into Atherton spent a huge amount of money to get in. They're very concerned about their privacy. But there's a different focus to get affordable housing, and that's what I'm focused on. Atherton's new plan needs approval by the California Department of Housing and Community Development. Cities that don't comply with the state requirements for new housing to meet community growth face fines, or California could usurp local land use authority. Wow. Ralph Robinson is an assistant planner at Good City, the consulting firm that Atherton hired to create the housing proposal. He said the state had rejected the vast majority of initial proposals in recent times. We're very aware of that. We're aware we'll get this feedback. And we may have to revisit some things in the fall. Mr. Robinson has seen similar situations play out across Northern California. The key differences with Atherton, though, is its wealth, which attracts attention and interest. Not at all a bit positive. Okay, so I don't know. I wonder what your opinion of that is, right? It's like, it's very interesting. It's complicated.